A Course in Miracles, a transcription of the shorthand notes manuscripts of Helen Schucman. No, Helen, this is in brackets. No, Helen, do not check this against what Bill very kindly typed on the card. That was a gracious offering, and you also accepted it with grace. Why refer corrections first to him? Looks like interdictation, but it's for Helen, not for anybody in general or everyone in general. Um, Grace is a topic in ACIM. Grace, dictionary definition of grace in terms of refinement of character. Magnitude is talked about in ACIM. Um, Glory is talked about in ACIM. I mean, live those types of ideas in terms of service to others, you know, profoundly service to others in terms of grace, magnitude, glory, similar to Jesus of Nazareth, especially Jesus in his public mission. There's a sentence in the book about grace. It says, um, it's talking about having an open mind and, you know, the mind is not shut tight against God's voice. I believe that's the sentence. I'm paraphrasing some, but um, well, certainly one of the ideas is um, open mindedness to what real truth is in terms of joy, peace, strength, goodness, ideas in ACIM, A Course in Miracles. Reading from A Course in Miracles, the miracle abolishes the need for lower order concerns since it is an illogical or out of pattern time interval. By definition, the ordinary considerations of time and space do not apply. I do not regard time as you and Bill do, and Kolb's space problem is not mine. When you perform a miracle, I will arrange both time and space to adjust to it. Clear distinction between what has been created and what is being created is essential. All forms of correction or healing rest on this fundamental correction in level perception. So this is all in A Course in Miracles, um, rephrased, restated, but maybe not in the FIP. Most definitely in Robert Perry's book, as far as A Course in Miracles. The miracle, uh, the miracle undoes the ego mind. I believe that's a fair statement. I don't know if that's a verbatim type sentence in ACIM, but lower order concerns would be um, ego concerns, especially treating anything physical as an idol, anything physical that is in the way, an impediment that is in the way of my, yours, anyone's intense and burning love of God. That would be a lower order concern. The miracle undoes that type of mentality. I mean, certainly miracles have nothing to do with time and space. I mean, a miracle to me can be an epiphany of thought of joy, peace, and goodness, but also, the miracles of Jesus of Nazareth, turning water into wine, or telling the cripple to pick up his bed and walk, or the raising of Lazarus from the dead. All of these things happened in a moment. There was no time and space involved. Correction in level perception. For me, there's only two levels. There's the spirit, perfect level of perfect joy, peace, strength, the spiritual level, or the physical level of ego mentality, emotions of remorse, disappointment, sorrow, feelings of deprivation, etc. That would be the physical or body level. And the goal is to undo everything that's ego mentality and have it all transformed into God mentality in terms of our thoughts and beliefs. Reading from ACIM, another way of stating two is never confuse right with wrong mindedness. Responding to any form of miscreation with anything except the desire to heal or a miracle is an expression of this confusion. The miracle is always a denial of this error and an affirmation of the truth. Only right-mindedness can create in a way that has any real effect. Pragmatically, what has no real effect has no real existence. Its real effect, then, is emptiness. Being without substantial content, it lends itself to projection. Right-mindedness versus wrong-mindedness. There's lots of ways to say the idea. Here it's saying, the attitude approach in terms of the beliefs should only be a desire to heal, or have every moment be a miracle in terms of joy, peace, goodness, love, zero negative emotions. Right-mindedness, for me, ACIM does not use the word moral because we're not supposed to judge other people's morals, but it's the same idea. ACIM talks a lot about the mind can be right or wrong, right-mindedness, wrong-mindedness, perfect sinlessness, perfect purity, perfect holiness, perfect innocence, perfect blamelessness. To me, it's all the same thing as perfect morality. Certainly the Urantia book, Urantia, talks a lot about morality, um, a lot in terms of morality, living morally, tremendous amount of information in the Urantia book about the subject. So, the real focus, moment to moment, certainly another of the great ideas to keep in mind, moment to moment, and truly live this way, is respond to anything that's not the perfect will of God with a desire to heal. Absolutely. Every moment, moment to moment, everything is either love, the will of God, perfect, joyous, strong, happiness, or it's a call for love. Anything that's not perfect love is a call for love. And I, you, or anyone should simply have a desire to heal in terms of someone else. ACIM. Okay, I read this. So ACIM is saying that our capital S self is perfect joy, peace, strength, goodness, exactly similar to Jesus of Nazareth in his public mission, especially. That's how he was living. Zero remorse, disappointment, sorrow, feelings of deprivation, etc., etc. Anything that has the emotions of remorse, disappointment, sorrow, feelings of deprivation does not really exist because it's not the will of God. So it's a temporary problem, is how I would put it. And to me, that's how ACIM puts it. Um, maybe not verbatim sentences in the book, but the idea is there. And only the will of God exists. The will of God is always perfect joy, perfect peace, perfect love, perfect goodness about everything in every way, moment to moment. And anything else is not the will of God. It doesn't really exist because it's not the will of God. Eventually, it has to be undone. Um, undone from an individual's mind in terms of beliefs that are not perfect peace, joy, strength. Lots and lots of sentences about that subject idea overall. ACIM. The level adjustment power of the miracle creates the right perception for healing. Until this has occurred, healing cannot be understood. Forgiveness is an empty gesture unless it entails correction. Without this, it is essentially judgmental rather than healing. Miraculous forgiveness is only correction. It has no element of judgment at all. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. In no way evaluates what they do. It is strictly limited to an appeal to God to heal their minds. There is no reference to the outcome of their misthought. This does not matter. The biblical injunction, be of one mind, is the statement for revelation readiness. My one injunction, do this in remembrance of me, is the request for cooperation in miracle working. It should be noted that the two statements are not in the same order of reality, because the latter involves a time awareness, since memory implies recalling the past in the present. Time is under my direction, but timelessness belongs to God alone. In time, we exist for and with each other. In timelessness, we coexist with God. Be as thou wast, W-A-S-T, wast, won't to be. See as thou wast, want to see. Project, to extend forward or out. Project, a plan in the mind. The world is equal to a natural grand vision. All right, so much of this that I first started reading there is definitely in ACIM, maybe not much in the FIP, definitely in Robert Perry's book, the CE, the complete edition. The power of the miracle. God is all power. Statements in the book like our ego beliefs are as powerful as God beliefs. That's has something to do, or that's part of the difficulty of undoing the ego beliefs, is they are very powerful in and of themselves. Forgiveness is a topic in this book, a major topic in this book. Everything is about forgiveness, miraculous forgiveness. You, or anyone, I have to forgive myself fully for everything I've ever done that was not the will of God, which is a lot in terms of, there's a sentence in the book about um, thinking creates form in the mind. So you, or anyone have been, all my thoughts, all of anyone's thoughts have created form in the mind. Most of that thought for myself has definitely been ego thoughts, and that has to be undone. That includes ever seeing anybody as a body, and then acting on it, resulting in a negative emotion, is um, uh, uh, part of what the whole forgiveness process is about. So, um, the book talks a lot about, forgive yourself for what you've done that is not the will of God, and you will forget it. and you will remember only your loving thoughts, only those things which were the actual will of God in your life is all that will be remembered if you can fully forgive yourself for those things which were not the will of God. I believe is the idea in the book to me. Um, Father, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I mean, there are various ways to speak about that sentence that Jesus said on the cross when the Roman guards were nailing him to the cross. I mean, for me, quite frankly, he's talking to those soldiers, not directly to those soldiers, but he's saying that for the benefit of those two soldiers that were nailing him to a cross, telling them without directly telling them that you know not what you do. Um, However, I mean, the sentence can be thought about in terms of anyone in general, in terms of the idea. Um, Again, um, ACIM says, whatever the body does, and this includes speech, whatever the body does is not the real person anyway, or at all. Like who you, I, everyone is a spirit, light, mind. Um, there's a proper understanding that I, you, or anyone is not a body at all. There's a proper understanding of that. There's also sentences about, the usefulness of the body, but um, no one in ACIM ideas and in real truth, no one can be judged for what their body does, and that includes speech. So it's simply never taking offense at what the body does or speech, because that's not their capital S self. Their capital S self, their Jesus like self, their Christ like self is perfect peace, joy, love, goodness, and in all ways at all times. And every human being on earth right now is a spirit, an individual spirit. Um, you or anyone can truly know yourself as light. Jesus in his public mission knew himself as light in a practical way. Jesus, the transfiguration is in the Bible, that took place, and also in the Urantia book it mentions that Jesus would undergo, he would become a light body. The apostles or others would see this, and he would simply become a light body and converse with spirit beings, is what the Urantia book is saying. I'm paraphrasing some there, but there is a practical way to experience otherworldly things and know yourself as light, as a spirit. Very practical understanding, real practical truth to it, and not being a body. Um, Lots and lots of ideas and sentences and truths in ACIM about that subject. Do this in remembrance of me, Jesus of Nazareth. Um, Cooperation in miracle working. I mean, there's a sentence in the book, the CE version, not the FIP, but it says everybody should love everybody. Something, I think that's the sentence. But um, you know, spirituality is about love, valuing, and appreciating others, and that is the only way you can know God's will. It's the only way you can know God. It's the only way you can know God's will is through service to others. God has created it that way. So in ACIM, God is approached through the appreciation of other people. That's how God created life for people. So um, that does have to be lived. Is the emphasis for life has to be the will of God and service to others. In the Urantia book, Jesus did make that one ritual type moment there uh, towards the end of his life there when he set up the one ritual that is the Catholic Mass about do this in remembrance of me. Um, in the Urantia book, Jesus, stayed away from ritual, did not teach ritual, tried to get the apostles and others to not engage in ritual a lot. He really emphasized speaking to God as a friend and things of this nature, and not doing ritual prayers, not doing ritual actions. He emphasized that throughout his life and throughout his public mission. But he did do this one thing in terms of ritual towards the end of his life, which is the ritual of the Catholic Mass. Um, there's a lot in the book about the past, and I mean, one thing is very certain: the goal is to live phenomenally strongly in the present moment and not having anything negative from the past affecting my present moment, whether that's a specific person, a remembrance about something about a specific person and bringing that into the present moment, or anything negative from the past about myself, things I've done, any of it. Nothing negative from the past should be impacting the present moment, and nothing about the future should be impacting the present moment. The present moment has to be lived phenomenally strongly. Lots of sentences about that idea in A Course in Miracles. Um, God is timeless. God knows not form. God is timeless. In the Urantia book, you have a sentence like, well, not like, but you have a sentence, uh, to the Universal Father, the first person of the Trinity. Um, the physical universe is virtually non-existent. So God is the father of personalities. So that is similar to the idea that you are not a body, you are a spirit. Um, uh, God knows not form. The Holy Spirit is not concerned with form, being concerned only with content, meaning, purpose. Like, where is the joy, peace, love, goodness in any physical action? It's never about the form, it's always about the joy, peace, love, goodness in terms of anything that takes place physically. Certainly for God, um, everything is perfect in the present moment in terms of everything is perfect in terms of the entire creation. For God himself, the first person of the Trinity, he knows everything in its perfection in the immediate present moment. I mean, there's a lot of ideas about this subject. Uh, so another one, time is only utilized when changes are necessary. So as I try to undo my ego mentality, I'm making changes. But when changes are done, when I, you, or anyone is living perfectly in the God mind, similar to Jesus in his public mission, then you're living timelessly. You're not making changes anymore. You're living as you would live eternally. So there's not really any choices made in that sense that if you're living timelessly and you know how to go about every physical behavior, every spiritual belief, uh, in truth, like you know how to go about every physical behavior perfectly with perfect joy, peace, strength, goodness. You have real knowledge in terms of understanding the real truth about any subject, God or any other subject, then you're living timelessly in terms of truth. So you're not making choices in that sense. You simply know how to go about everything in every moment with perfect joy, peace, strength, goodness, love, etc.